My name is Era, and I'm the host of the Tamil Creator Podcast. I chat with creators from all over the world to share their stories and discuss hot topics in a way that I hope inspires, educates, and entertains you. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Tamil Creator. I'm your host, Era, and today I have a very special guest checking in from Germany. Her name is Angela Asiana. Did I get that right?
Yeah,
Thank you.
Asiana.
There's a running joke that I always mess up names, so I'm glad I got that. And she is a Swiss-born social media star, model, and musician. So Angela, thanks for jumping on.
Thank you for having me.
I like to kind of always start at the beginning because I feel like how you were raised or kind of those early years of whether you're a kid or a teenager, there's some key moments that really kind of help you get to where you are today, or like maybe in a good way or bad way. So let's start there. Like what at a young age or like your formative teenage years, what made you kind of become interested in pursuing a career in music and like the creative arts in general?
So actually I think my mom is behind all this, even though she hopes or she always hoped I want to become a doctor. So she put me on stage when I was like 2 years old, and I started off with um learning Bharatanatyam. And when I was a little kid, I literally watched Disney Channel. And that's like where everything started for me. I was like so crazy about Hannah Montana and Wizards of Waverly Place and all that kind of stuff. And literally saw myself in there and was like, this is something I want to do. So yeah, this is kind of like where it actually happened, if I can think back and remember like where I had this desire to be a part of this whole world.
And so for you, like with because you're obviously big on social media, but like you're obviously a musician as well. Did you start by pursuing the social media side first or the music part, or was it kind of a combination of both?
It was kind of a combination of both, but the whole music thing was like private. It was really like more for myself, and it made me really feel good when I sang or when I played the piano. But the social media side just kind of was a fun thing to do, like besides school. So that kind of became my hobby. So I like to kind of play dress up and take pictures of my outfits. And that literally just kind of took off. And I started getting um, brand offers to work with, and I could travel and just see that whole world of being a social media star. So even though I had the chance and opportunity to do all that, I saw that, or I felt that something was missing. And I realized that I would always still keep singing to myself. And at some point, my brother was like, "Why don't you pursue music? Because you're always singing, you're always playing the piano, and you have a good voice." And I was like, at the time, I was so insecure about my voice. And growing up, I have to say, kids are really mean. So that kind of, you know, like being young and just like being pointed out in school days and stuff like that. So I never really dared to pursue music for real professionally. And somewhere along that road with being social media, like with being in social media and present, um, I felt like I needed to sing and find my way back to music. And that's where I felt good. And I realized that I want to do that.
I guess before I ask the next question, I was just because I just realized again, because you're obviously grew up in Switzerland, I know you're currently in Germany, because
Yeah.
your story is kind of very similar to another Swiss star that I actually interviewed as well, Priya Ragu. I don't know if you
Oh,
guys are
yes.
friends or like have done stuff together. I'm curious
No, we
about
don't
that.
know each other personally, but I've heard of her, I follow her, like I see her stuff. Great, great, really great stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of somewhat similar because her brother is also like in music and also encouraged her to kind of put her stuff out there. So it's just like as you were saying that, I was like, oh, similar to like Priya Ragu. On the social media side, I know everyone always kind of sees the positive, right? Like, obviously have a big following, there's opportunities or like there's good things that come from that, but there's obviously like negatives as well, right? Like, depends on like how that attention is. Like there could be like good attention, bad attention. So like, have you ever seen kind of as like your star has kind of risen and you kind of become more well known? Um, have you ever seen the negatives of kind of being so well known, especially in social media?
100%. I mean, I feel like haters come along. It's just a part of the game. But the most important part is that you don't forget where you come from and that you stay true to yourself. What can I say? It's really like they are behind those screens, behind those phones, you know. And to quote Steve Harvey, to be honest, he calls them thumb gangsters. And since I heard that on his podcast, I'm just like, yeah, that's so true because I think they would never dare to say that to your face. It comes and goes. You just don't have to let them get down.
Now I know you kind of say that, and you probably have like, you've dealt with it. Like I know it's not easy to kind of deal with those negative comments,
Mm.
but they say with like human beings, I think it's like every 14 or for like 10 positive comments is equivalent to like one negative.
Hmm.
So you obviously probably get a ton of positive comments for like your music, your content, etc. And I know you probably do a good job kind of dealing with or like just separating, like you said, these thumb gangsters from like kind
Yeah.
of, your how you perceive yourself. But like, have there ever been moments where like any defining comments that like have really bothered you? Or are you just like, hey, you know what? You've got enough practice where it's kind of like you just know how to deal with it. Like you've developed that kind of thick skin or like whatever your methodology is to kind of get them out of your mind.
I think, yeah, in the beginning it was hard to deal with it because I mean you're young, you're a woman, you're like growing up in a like even if I was born and raised in Switzerland, you're still different than other people are. And it's hard to kind of find yourself in this whole like not only speaking on social media, it's hard enough to find yourself in the real world, you know, especially growing up with cultural background from your parents and then growing up in Switzerland where you literally go to the world and you have a whole other culture and you have to find yourself between this and that kind of. So I would say like in my younger ages, it was really hard to deal with it because I would question myself if I should still continue pursuing this or should I just shut everything down because there are people out there who say like I'm not behaving as a um Tamil woman should behave, you know, like those kind of stuff. Or why am I showing off myself this way and that way? So yeah, there were a lot of comments which bothered me. And in the end of the day, I have to say, like, I'm glad I didn't stop. I'm glad I didn't listen to those people who would just drop in those comments and they would still keep on going with their lives, you know.
This episode is sponsored by nobody. That's right, nobody. So if you could be kind enough to hit that subscribe button, that would mean a lot to me. And like
So,
you talked about the support from your brother, which is amazing. And like how your mom kind of helped you or kind of create that seed of inspiration to kind of with Hannah Montana and just kind of spark that interest in music. Um, as you kind of become more and more popular and you're doing music and you're kind of showcasing that more, how do your parents feel about, because obviously it sounds like you're wanting to kind of make this, or this is your full-time pursuit.
mm,
How do your parents feel about that choice of kind of you focusing on music versus, like you said, you're caught in this place where, like there's a quote unquote typical careers that Tamil parents want their kids to pursue. And then there's obviously things that, we want to kind of do ourselves and it might not
yeah.
align. So number one, like how do they support you? Or like do you kind of have a little bit of, I wouldn't say friction, I think it's healthy, but like, how's their support like? And um yeah, like for you, like at what point, like what do you consider success? Like I know in terms of making it in music, it's like, there's a long-term path, like you've kind of achieved certain success points already, but for you, when do you know that you've kind of made it to the goals that you wanted to kind of hit? if that makes sense. So you can kind of answer just one question at a time, but just something I want to kind of know about as well.
So to my parents' part, I think when I started the whole like influencing modeling and all that kind of path, it was really hard for them to get on board because I was still in school there, and I was literally like going off to high school, and they were hoping that I would go to college and uni and do some sort of bachelor. But I really um was so like I just my inner self just told me you have to do this. Like whatever it is, you have to do this. And I would just go off and do it. And my mom was worried, as every mother would be. But at the same time, I think she trusted me enough to let me go and do this because I would take conscious decisions and not just, blindly follow anyone or trust anyone. Um, because yeah, we know all how the industry is. But I mean, like, you have to be careful everywhere, right? So I think it was hard for my parents to see me go this way, this very unconventional way. But I think through the fact that they saw me do this, they saw kind of like that I was bold or courageous to go ahead and do it. It was a long way, I would say, but they have come around now. So in the past couple of years, they have been very supportive. And I think the moment where you know your parents are proud of you, or like as Tamil parents are proud of you, is like when they start telling their relatives about you. And they're like, yeah, she's singing now. She's like gonna do, music and all that. And for a long time, I felt like it was hard for my parents to even like say that out, you know.
And I guess you kind of show them you're serious too, because you mentioned you grew up obviously in Switzerland and you've kind of made that move to Germany, which I know isn't that far, but it is still far. It's a different country technically.
Yeah,
Um, so I guess by showing that you're willing to kind of do that kind of thing, it shows how serious you are about pursuing this. So, and like the reason I'm asking these questions is part of it is like personal curiosity, but also for people listening that are parents that, hey, like, we have a chance to kind of, I guess, create a different narrative for our kids in the sense that instead of telling them kind of here's what you should be doing, kind of creating a different environment of like fostering and like saying, hey, whatever you want to do, do, but like whether it's singing, whether it's being a lawyer, but like pursue it seriously. So that's kind of why
mm-hmm.
I'm also asking as well. So people
Understand.
listening hopefully do that, right? Because there is a lot
Yes,
of talent in the Tamil community globally, especially in the music scene. Like you're seeing it like
absolutely.
the last
Yeah.
couple of
And the
years is
creative scene,
absolutely,
there's like so many talents.
yeah. Obviously, like we kind of also connected, I think, through like I guess a mutual contact and like you're a big star already. But like I guess from like a music point of view publicly, because you said you've been doing it for a while, it's
Mhm.
still newer. Um, I guess of the songs you've kind of worked on so far, like which song would you say because I actually listen to them. I don't understand German or unfortunately, so I could only appreciate the non-lyrical part of the music.
Yeah.
So for you, like what was your favorite song that you worked on that you're most proud of? Or I know that might be a hard question to ask from like an artist because obviously you probably love everything you created. But I'm gonna ask you this question though. So
Honestly, I feel like my last song, the one we just dropped, I think like 3 weeks ago, that's one of my favorite songs because that one is now like the first Tamil German song I did, and working on it was like felt just so much easier than working on the other songs. It just brought out like I feel like I embraced my Tamil part, and it made me feel proud of where I come from and who my parents are and what we have built as a community, as a family, as even like the new younger generation, people like you and me who are going into a creative direction can take all this story with us and all those roots with us and bring it into this amazing creative space. Yeah, I think that one is really like my favorite one. And I'm really excited to actually produce even more songs in this kind of style.
And do you enjoy the, because like, you have music, which is the audio part, but a lot of people love the music videos as well because it's a video, like a video component, and there's an opportunity for you to kind of showcase or shine in terms of your
Yeah.
personality, something that can't be heard, right? So number one, do you enjoy the creation of the music videos? And like number two, again, it's just like the social media side where like we just see the end product, the glamorization obviously looks cool.
Yeah.
But like talk about the work that goes behind kind of creating a music video as well that people like myself don't really know about.
So, I really love the whole music video, creating of the music video because for the moment I'm doing everything independently. And what I really enjoy doing is creating the mood boards and putting together the style, putting together um, the little details which kind of feel important to me. And I hope that comes across to the viewer as well. So for the whole creative and visual art part, that's like a whole go for me. Like I love it so much. Um, but at the same time, like it takes so much organization, it takes so many people who you can rely on. Your team has to be like one with you, and that's the most important part. And I'm so grateful that I have such an amazing team who, communicate with me. We have weekly calls. We're like y- always on like kind of go go go, but we also take like our breaks. And yeah, it's just like when we're on set, it's really like fun, like even though we're shooting the whole day or like 2 days in a row, it doesn't matter. Like at the end of the day, we're so happy and we're so like proud of what we created. And I always tell my videograph that I'm really sorry that he has so much material now and he needs to filter out like the good parts. But yeah, props to him.
You talked about the fact that it's obviously a lot of work because you're an independent artist. So like you're like even though you have your hands in a lot of things, which is great, you have a lot of control over it. It's a lot of work. Uh, are you like is there plans in the future to kind of I guess, work with a label or because I know in this day and age, a lot of artists prefer to kind of stay independent as long as they can because of control and like, you control a lot of your own stuff, your content.
Mm.
Yeah, just curious about your take. Like, do you have plans to look at like a label? Why or why not? And yeah, just love to hear about that.
I'm open to it. I'm not saying no to it. I just think for the moment, everything is manageable and everything is doable and I have a lot of control in my hands. But I think when the time is right, I am open to talk with labels and probably collaborate with them. Yeah.
I guess a better question is, has a label approached you yet?
Um, yeah, we do have like some which approached us.
Uh,
But we thought for the moment it's better to go independent.
Interesting. Okay. We'll see how that goes. Okay. Um, Is there like a musician anywhere in the world, like, so both either Tamil or non-Tamil, or like, like you can name one of each. I'm
Mhm.
curious, like, who is a musician that you could like see yourself doing collaboration with and like why?
So I think like non-Tamil, I think The Weeknd,
He's
because
Canadian. Yeah.
I've been just like such a fan of The Weeknd, and I love his voice. I love his his art, his visuals. It's kind of like very dark and mysterious, but at the same time, it has such a beauty to it. So I kind of feel like our like the voice would also like fit, it would be really smooth. Um, and I think Tamil, I would really like to work with A.R. Rahman sir and also with Anirudh. But I know he's like not really kind of like a typical musician, but Kamal sir is like really cool with his movies and he sings on his own like movie soundtracks and everything. And he has such a interesting voice. So I feel like that would be something I would like to do in my career.
Did you know that every time you left a 5 out of 5 review for this podcast, a Tamil parent lets their child pursue a career in the creative arts? Okay, that's probably not true, but if there's a chance that it is, do you really want to jinx it? Leave a review. Do it for the young creative in you. The Weeknd is from Toronto, so just saying, we do have we do have some great talent here. We got Drake as well.
So you're
Uh,
saying I have to move to Toronto now?
Toronto is like where it's at. I think if you're with I guess I don't realize it because I live here, but like when you go visit like the UK or like the Europe, we just take for granted that Toronto has such a huge Tamil population, and like when there's these
True.
global Tamil events around like the arts, it's like a lot of it happens. Obviously, like London's another one, but Toronto does have a big scene, and you should also look. I'll send you this after, but you should probably also hit up Janssen. He's like a up and coming like Toronto. He's not up and coming anymore, but he's like a producer slash like musician as well. Uh,
I think I have some of his songs on my playlist.
yeah, also from Toronto. Just saying.
Yeah.
I guess I know at the beginning when I kind of did the introduction, I kind of obviously referred to you as also a social media star, model, and musician. But if you had to kind of choose how to be referred to, if you had to choose, like if I'm telling somebody about you, would you prefer the model part or the musician part or and like what's your preference and why?
Um, it's a hard question actually. I think like all in all, I would see myself as just like an artist. For the moment, like musician speaks more to me because I see myself as a musician, I visualize myself as a musician, and long term I see myself that like music is going to be always a part of my life. Of course, I'm going to, like branch out kind of and do other stuff and collaborate with other artists or other projects where I'm interested in. But for the moment, I really do see myself more as a musician.
And I feel like the life of an artist or like musician is very entrepreneurial in a way, in the sense that you obviously don't have like it's not like a regular paycheck, right? Like you or like in a regular day, like you're doing different things all the time. But I guess for like someone listening, like what's your typical day or like week like? Because obviously like, you're creating music, you have like music videos and like probably exploring like different relationships in terms of like artists and things like that. But yeah, maybe just talk about what your day like looks like, what kind of things you work on or like what you consider work.
Well, it is very, very different from day to day. But my weeks usually I fill them up with like vocal vocal coachings or vocal classes because I always want to stay on top of my game. Um, then I have like rehearsals now at least twice a week. And other than that, you really have to focus on your mental and physical health as well. So that is super, super important. Therefore, you do the things you like. You go to the gym, you go to a yoga class or Pilates or something like that. And yeah, like sometimes there are days where you're like literally stuck to the computer or stuck to your phone because you're working so much through your phone, you're connecting, networking through your phone. Especially Instagram is like one of the, I would say like because I come from that Instagram generation, for me it's m more approachable. I use it in different ways. I can reach out to other artists. I can reach out to producers, even to labels through Instagram. You can reach out to radios and podcasts and whatever. Sometimes you're just like working through your phone for hours and you literally forget the time. You are creating content. You have like your content days. Yeah, that's like pretty much a typical week, I would say. A typical day is very, how should I say? It depends on the days.
Are you a morning person or evening person?
It's fine. I feel like I can be both. Like if I really have to be a night owl, I can pull through and I can be up until like I think 3 a.m. is like my my sweet spot, I would say, like until 3 a.m. If I really have to like wake up at 4:30 in the morning and I have to be somewhere, like I can do that as well. So I don't have like an issue with mornings or something. I have to say, like I'm always a little bit late though. That's my problem.
Well, I was gonna ask you because I feel like out of the musicians I know, there's like the stereotype that they usually do their best work like kind of in the late evenings, which
Yeah.
usually means they're kind of up really late. And
Yeah, I
yes,
feel like
they're always
studio
late.
sessions is better, like on the like at night. Because it's like the whole vibe. It depends on what kind of song you're working on as well and how your mood is. But I feel like recording in the evenings is way smoother.
I see.
Yeah, the whole vibe is like different.
And yes, musicians have been known to be late, so I can believe it. But
I'm always super sorry for it, but I'm like, I tell my friends now, or even like my coaches, I'm like, tell me like it starts at 12:15, but it actually starts at 12:30. So in my
I
head,
see.
I can trick myself.
But today I outdid you. I was the late one, so I guess you were early today. Um, you
Oh.
kind of talked about this earlier, where you're kind of on the phone and like, a lot of there's like a lot of work done there, especially on the, I guess, relationship building or like networking side.
Mm.
Talk about the impact of, I don't know, I guess networking sounds very like, I don't like that word, but I guess that's like whatever, building relationships. But um, how has like networking impacted the opportunities that you've kind of got for yourself?
Um, I would
Like, how
say
do you
a lot.
approach it? And sorry, and how do you approach networking or relationship building?
How I approach it. Well, literally, I just hit them up on DM.
What do you say?
So,
Like, what's the message say?
so what I do is like, um, if I see that people coming to my profile and checking my profile out, um, I kind of like check them out as well. So, and if I see like, hey, this is a cool, creative, interesting person, um, like I want to get to know them or I want to collaborate with them at some point, or I just know, just want to work with them at some point. Yeah, I just like follow them back and hit them a DM like, "Hey, thanks for following me. Um, like nice to meet you," kind of something like that. And if I want to approach someone, I literally do the same. Like I go on like a couple of posts, I follow them, and when I see like they're kind of interested in me as well by like you can like test the water, right? So when you see they like pictures back or they follow you back, you're like, "Okay, we're cool." And and then you hit them a DM, like you send them a DM, you're like, "Hey, I really like your work. Like would love to talk sometime." Or if you see like they're in the same city, some people like put their location in their bio. So you're like, I would love to have a coffee with you or something like that. And it's like with Instagram, so much has become so easy to connect. Um, and I feel like it gives you a lot of opportunities, a lot of chances. So you literally has just have to go and get them in a way.
I want to ask you about the practicality of kind of being an artist as well, because um, you talked about all these things that you kind of do. Obviously, you moved to a new city. You have like life expenses. Um, I guess for someone that's completely kind of not blind, but someone that could be listening that is blind to kind of the financial side of operating as an artist,
Mm,
how do you manage that? Like, is it like how do you survive as an artist as you kind of make your way up and build
okay.
yourself up and like building up your profile, the coaching because you're investing in yourself. Like, how do you manage all that from a financial point of view? Because I think that's something that a lot of people don't think about and it would be helpful to kind of understand that as well.
When you decide to go this path, you have to have like a lot of, you just have to be like, okay, first of all, you need to believe in yourself. That's number one. And um, I would say you need to save up money. Like for a really long time, I would work 100% and like office jobs, yeah, mostly office jobs. And then I would reinvest that money into my music or into demos or travels or whatever, something like that. And then after that, like for a while, it was going well. You could kind of like do both at the same time. But there comes a time where you have to decide, and you feel it in you that you can't ride both of those boats. So there was a time in my life where I had to decide, and I was like, okay, um, even your soul can't take it anymore doing those two things at the same time. So I decided for myself to just save up money, do my best, and then literally try it and approach it. And you quit your job and you leave everything behind what you know, and then you go ahead.
And
Sometimes you just have to jump.
when did you jump officially?
Officially, I jumped last year.
Okay. And like how do you feel since then? I mean, maybe it's an obvious question. I'm setting you up for an easy answer, but I want to ask you anyways.
I have to say, it's the best thing I ever did. Like, I always thought it's a safer way to do, like to have a job on the side and do music, but you never really jump. You're never really in that point where like this has got to be it. This has to work out. Like there's no plan B.
And I guess since you have like so much time and you don't have to use your brain to think about like this other job that you have, I
Mm.
guess it opens you up to kind of really have more time to focus on building yourself up and
100%.
doing all this.
And immediately so many more opportunities come your way because you shut that door. It's also like I would say it's a whole energy thing as well, because you're splitting your energy into two different things. And even if you're like hoping and dreaming and kind of doing everything for your dream, um, one part of you is still, caught up in this whole corporate office kind of vibe. And um you're blocking so many doors for yourself by still being in this energy bubble, And as soon as you break out of it and you're kind of like free from it, it's like the world is your oyster. It's cheesy, but it's literally like that. Since I jumped, it was like it was insane. Like I did so many things which I never did in my life. I became way more courageous. I was bold enough to risk certain things. Yeah, I think you just have to, like you will feel it. You feel it, you know it in yourself. This is the time, and then you go ahead, and everything will literally align. Like you really don't have to be scared about it because as soon as you jump, like, because I'm a huge believer and I have so much faith. So I always say like without God, I would have never come this far. And I ask myself like, why was I always so scared about jumping and doing this, trying this full time to make it my full time, right? I would say that without God's help, it would have never come this far.
Love it. In terms of, I guess, failure for you, because I feel like a lot of people talk about success, which obviously, it's obviously nice to have a level of success. But what's like a failure that you've experienced in the last couple of years, and like what did you learn from that failure? Money can be hard to come by, but here is a $100 opportunity for you. Join my free newsletter for free exclusive content and a free chance to win $100 when I hold special draws. Did I mention that it's free?
Well, I think like failures are good. That's where you learn and that's where you adjust certain routes, You have your goal, but you adjust certain ways, certain routes to get to that goal. I'm not really sure which one, like which ones were failures, but I would say those were all learning experience. And I would say like, yeah, maybe just like trusting certain people and thinking like, yeah, this is gonna be it, Because I feel like in the music industry or maybe in the entertainment industry, everybody's gonna tell you like, oh, this is gonna be it, this is gonna be your hit, and kind of like that. Yeah, really believing in yourself, listening to yourself, just going through those things where like this feels right. And I think I had to learn a lot to listen to my own intuitions, to my own opinions, to my own, yeah, also to my own, worth, and finding kind of like my own morals within this whole time of growing.
That's kind of a good time because I guess you mentioned God and like your faith. I guess it's part of like your daily practices, or like do you have like some kind of practice that kind of relates to your faith on like a daily basis? Like that kind of helps you, like, kind of aligns with this whole idea of failures as well, because
Mm.
depending on like your mindset, or like not your mindset, but I guess your viewpoint, like if you like believe in a God, then it's like how you approach failure is different than maybe someone that doesn't. So I'm just curious about daily practices and kind of just how that helps you with, pursuing your ultimate goal.
Yeah, definitely. Like I have my morning routines which help me out a lot. I feel like when you wake up in the morning, you are most connected to um like God, to the divine, to the universe. And that's where I put on this, how do you call that? Like binaural waves, I think. Those kind of meditations. So I put those on, and I do my affirmations, I do gratitude. I think gratitude practicing is one of the best and most important parts you should be practicing, because it first of all grounds you to everything what you have, but also it shows you where you can go. And I think, yeah, those two, like affirmations and practicing gratitude, are one of my daily routines. And in the mornings, I try to like take a little time to myself to pray. But sometimes I literally kind of like forget it because I'm so into the whole gratitude and affirmation part. But I always pray at night before I go to bed, and I say like a little gratitude like directly to God. I think that's like just something learned along the way to include into my life, into my daily life. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you made a good point about the gratitude because sometimes in your day-to-day things happen, that upset you, or like things that you think should have went your way, that when you kind of step back and, like I said, like if you have this viewpoint of believing in God, sometimes the things you think you want that are good for you are actually, it's good that you didn't get them, or you didn't get them when you thought you wanted it, because later on when it's the right time or the right thing that's supposed to happen to you does. So and I think just having gratitude and being able to step back and be like, hey, maybe a couple of bad things happened today, but if you look at the big scope of things, just reminding yourself, hey, I got a place to sleep, I got food, I got health. It just kind of just reminds you, hey, just, like maybe something you wanted to happen didn't happen, but
Yeah.
you have it pretty good and you should be thankful for that. So yeah.
Especially like the basic things. I feel like we all forget the most basic things we have, like literally what you said, like a place to sleep, a fridge with food, clean water to drink, like a warm, cozy home to go back to at the end of the day. So all those kind of simple things, even like if you're in a relationship, you have a partner who is like at home, happy to see you and happy to welcome you back home. So all those like little things matter so much. And I feel like if you're not, like if you forget being grateful for those little things, it can be taken away from you.
I heard something was like just reframing of like, say when somebody complains about their job, just reframing it like, oh, I get to do this thing while I have a job, or like, hey,
Yeah.
I hate putting out the garbage, but hey, I get to put out the garbage, right? Like, so I have a place
Yeah.
to call home. So it's just kind
True.
of like a cool exercise.
Yeah.
Um, if you had a chance to kind of go back in a time machine and talk to 16-year-old Angela, I don't know how old you are now, but 16-year-old Angela, what would you tell her?
I would tell her that she's doing really well, and that she has this dream of becoming this, this whole artist, this musician, model, actress, something, icon. I don't know. This whole thing. I would tell her that everything is going to be fine. Yeah. And I think I would hug her really, really.
And looking forward, so like in terms of your personal legacy, in a few sentences, like how would you want to be remembered by your friends and family?
Okay, that's a hard one. Honestly, I think just as a kind person, and somebody who believed in the good of people.
I hope you stay kind as you get bigger, right? People forget that.
It's one it's one of my mantras, so it's
Yeah.
not gonna go away.
Awesome. Well, that's a kind of a good segue to the final part of the podcast. It's a fun speed run I like to call Creator Confessions. I basically say a bunch of statements, and you're going to tell me the first thing that pops to mind. Ready?
Okay.
Favorite Tamil food?
Patarati.
Something that scares you.
Oh God. Clowns.
Interesting. Okay. Insecurity that you have.
Um, Playing with my nails, kind of.
Favorite show that you're watching.
Friends.
A place you're itching to travel to.
Madagascar.
Oh, good choice. Never heard that. Yeah. Is that after you watched the movie?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought so. Fellow Tamil creator you want to give a shout out to?
Ooh. Does it matter if he's already big?
No, doesn't matter.
Thanos.
Favorite childhood memory?
Ooh, when I had a bunny and I would feed him carrots.
You had like a pet bunny?
Yeah, I had a pet bunny, but we had no cage. That was a problem. So he
Ah,
would run around in our house.
uh, favorite movie of all time? It can be Tamil, English, or both.
Okay, Tamil is mine. Hold on. It's called something something.
The movie's called something something?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Because the song is like something something.
Okay, I haven't heard of that. Okay. And what about
Yeah.
English?
English movie. Oh my God. Oh yeah. Okay, it's Harry Potter.
Oh, good choice.
Yeah.
Have you read the books?
What? Not all,
Should definitely do
but I
that.
have to.
Okay.
It's on my list. I saw
Uh,
the movies first, and then I was like, I don't know if I should read the
books
I
are way
should.
better, but the movies are good, but the books are way better.
Yeah.
What's a decision you've been putting off for a while?
A decision.
That you've been putting off for a while?
Oh my God. Whoa, moving out was a whole thing.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Who is somebody that you would love to have on your invisible council so that anytime you want to talk to them or pick their brain, you could do that?
Steve Harvey.
Interesting. Why Steve Harvey?
Because I feel like he's so wise. He's like Yoda. Yeah. And he has so much faith, so I can
Yes,
relate to that.
got it. Um, what's a purchase you've made that you've splurged on recently that you have no regret about?
This sounds so so professional. My Louis bag.
Uh, what's a pet peeve of yours?
Grind their teeth.
Grind their
I
teeth.
hate
Okay.
that.
If you knew that you were going to die tomorrow, a regret that you would have.
What would I regret?
If you
That
knew that
you
you were
don't
going to die, if you were going to die tomorrow, a
have.
regret that you would have.
Um, I don't know.
So no regrets then. That's good.
Honestly. So you mean like regrets I don't have or I would
No, no.
have?
Like for example, like if you knew that, hey, tomorrow at like 12 o'clock, I'm gonna die.
Mm.
Like what's like do you have a feeling of regret of like, hey, I wish I spent more time with my parents or I wish I
Ah.
traveled the world or yeah.
Yeah, I would say like, see more places.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And a celebrity whose life you'd want to experience for just one day. Don't say Steve Harvey again.
I think Selena Gomez,
Interesting. Why Selena Gomez?
because I watched her, like I feel like I grew up with her, watching
Hmm.
her on TV.
Got it.
And like she's almost like my age. So I kind of would like to see how that is.
Got it. What's a book you read or a podcast you've listened to that's had an impact on you?
I gotta say Steve Harvey again.
Steve Harvey's book or podcast?
A podcast.
Podcast.
I book is The Alchemist
Okay.
and Atomic Habits. But
Atomic.
also like I'm reading Rich Dad Poor Dad right now. So I feel like that is really, really helping me right now as well.
That's a good trifecta of books. Alchemist. I love Atomic Habits, one of my favorite books of all time.
Mm.
And we gotta tag Steve Harvey when this podcast goes up so that
I've dropped like
hopefully
Steve
he
Harvey's
sees
name like at least 4 times now.
What's a belief, behavior, or habit that's improved your life?
Prayer.
And finally, a piece of advice you want to give to your fellow aspiring camel creators out there.
Um, I would say believe in yourself. You have so much talent. You are all born with gifts. And you know what that gift is. Just listen to your heart, listen to yourself, and follow it. Nobody else is gonna know it. Not even your parents are gonna see that gift, you know? So it's so important that you really, really listen to yourself.
That's a good way to end off the podcast. So I guess, Angela, like somebody that's listening to this, that's like, hey, this, inspiring, or like they want to just reach out to you. What is the best way that you prefer someone kind of connect with you?
I think Instagram, yeah,
Got it.
on Angela Asiana.
Awesome. Well, it's really nice to kind of hear your story, and yeah, I resonated with a lot of the stuff you said. So it was really cool to see that. So thanks for jumping on the podcast, sharing your story. We look
Thank
forward to kind
you.
of watching your trajectory. You'll be not the next Priya Ragu, you'll be the next Angela. So like you're gonna be your own defining unique star. So yeah, thanks for jumping on. And for the audience listening, thank you guys as always for tuning in.
Thank you so much.